The tyre on your e-mountain bike is the first point of contact between you and the ground, and getting that pressure right is definitely essential. It's going to affect comfort, it's going to affect your grip, and it's going to affect your control too. So today I'm going to be helping you guys find your perfect tyre pressure. So first up, why is tyre pressure so important on your e-mountain bike? Well, let's start with grip. While the tyres on your e-mountain bike, they're designed to work alongside other components such as the suspension to provide grip. Now if you've got that tyre overinflated, it's simply going to bounce around and deflect off all the obstacles on the trail. It's also going to decrease that contact patch that's going to hook you up in the terrain. So therefore you've got that decreased contact patch, and therefore you've got less grip. The tyres on your e-mountain bike are also a form of suspension too. So if you've got those tyres too hard and you're riding off-road, you're going to get a lot of buzz, you're going to get fatigued, and ultimately that ride won't be as comfortable as it possibly could be. Then there is the profile of the tyre. Too little or too much pressure in your tyre is going to alter that tyre profile, meaning that the rubber is not going to be in the right place where it needs to be, particularly when cornering or even going in a straight line. So pressure is important when it comes to tyre profile. Then ultimately there is control too. Now if you've got your tyres too soft, they're simply going to wallow and bounce around on the trail. They're not going to give you any pop. They're also going to roll very slowly, and you could be at risk from getting punctures and damaging your rim. And likewise, if they're too hard, well, you're going to be slipping and sliding around, and you're going to get a load of buzz and feedback from the trail. It's not going to be nice. And as I mentioned, range can also be affected by tyre pressure too, but that's a huge subject, and we've done loads of videos, and there's a link for that one down in the video description below. So how is tyre pressure measured? Well, tyre pressure is measured in PSI, which means pounds per square inch or bar. So the tools you're going to need to adjust your tyre pressures, well, you guessed it, it's pumps, and they come in lots of different shapes and sizes. So let's take a look at some of them now. First up is going to be the track pump. Now this is the sort of pump you're going to have in your workshop or back at home. Great for pumping those tyres up, super quick, super efficient, but not that great for sticking in your backpack and going for those bigger rides. You're also going to get tubeless versions of these, which are called charger pumps, which have an external canister on there, which you pump up, then let that air go all at once, and that should set a tubeless tyre on your rim. Super simple and a real worthwhile investment. Price-wise for these, well, they start at £10 for the budget kind of ones, and then you're going to go all the way up to about £150 for those super impressive charger pumps. So definitely a worthwhile investment for your workshop at home. Next up, you can have your hand pump or your mini pump. This is the sort of thing you're going to fit in your backpack that you're going to take out to the trails. Just top up that pressure, or maybe get you out of a sticky situation. Again, these can range from about 10 to 100 pounds. Most of the modern pumps are going to have a variable valve on there, which you can switch between Schrader and Presta. Presta is the most common type you're going to find on your e-bike. That's a skinny type of valve, and Schrader is the type of valve that you're going to find on your car, so that's the big fat one. A few of these have flip out handles and can act kind of like a little mini pump. Like this one, you can actually fold out, stick on the floor and cycle it away, much like you would do a track pump. So you've got that handle that comes out, pretty efficient too. And lastly, you've got CO2 canisters. Now these are ideal at inflating your tyre super quick. Again, sticking in your backpack. It's a get out of jail free card, but that is a single use only. So once you've dumped all that air, you can't reuse it again. So if you're going out for a ride, I'd seriously consider sticking both of these in your backpack. This one's super efficient, and this one is just your fit and forget. It'll always be there in the big jail, a get out of jail free card. So how do you find this magical tyre pressure? Well, it comes down to around 6 things that you need to consider. First up is being range versus grip. Do you want grip or do you want range from your e-bike? If you want range, well, you might have to increase your tyre pressure. If you want grip, well, you're gonna have to decrease that tyre pressure to enhance your grip. Then of course there is the weight of the e-bike itself. Now the lightweight e-bikes, they weigh around 17 kilos, and some of the heavier ones, well, they're getting up into the higher 20s. So the weight of those bikes can vary differently too. So you're gonna have to adjust your tyre pressures to suit. Then there is the weight of you as a rider. I mean, if you're a lighter rider, then you can get away with lower tyre pressure. If you're a heavier rider, riding that same terrain at the same speed, then you're gonna have to increase your tyre pressures. Then there's the terrain that you're going to be riding. If you're just going to be riding cross country and fire roads, then you might get away with a high pressure because you don't require that much grip for the type of style of riding that you're doing. But if you're riding downhill trails where you might need to run that tyre a bit softer to increase your grip. Then there is the tyre type. Now tyres are made for different types of riding. You get downhill tyres, you get cross-country tyres, you get e-bike tyres, marathon tyres, you name it, there's a tyre to suit that application. And they are only really suited to that style of riding that they're dictated to. So if you're riding a downhill tyre, say for cross-country, then you're going to have to inflate it quite hard to get the same sort of range that you would do from a cross-country tyre, and vice versa. If you're riding a cross-country tyre downhill, then you're going to have to increase that pressure just to get to stop the tyre rolling and to stop you damaging the tyre on those rocky hits and things like that. So you need to make sure the tyre is suitable for the application that you're doing. And then there's a type of rider that you are. If you're a rider that likes to stay on the ground and go around berms nice and smooth, versus the guy that jumps everything, lands hard and slices and cuts every corner and slides everywhere, then you might have to think about your tyre pressure too. It's a real fine balance, but making sure you've got that right tyre pressure is definitely going to be key when it comes to riding hard. Right, time to take a look at some of these magical tyre pressures then. But first up, you need to consider whether you're running tubes or you're running tubeless. If you're running tubes, we need to increase these pressures by about 3 to 5 psi. And just bear in mind that you can run a softer front tyre than you can a rear tyre. The reason for this is that you can lift that front tyre out of harm's way if you see a rock or a root on the trail. The back tyre, well, that tends to get the brunt of all the hits. You're going to be smashing that through all the rocks and roots whilst you're lifting that front one out of the way. So time to take a look at a few disciplines and take a look at the pressures. So if you're riding cross country, you just want a comfortable ride with a fast rolling tyre that is going to give you the maximum range and offer the least resistance. Loads of factors to consider, but a low tyre pressure would be 17 psi and a high tyre pressure would be around 30 psi. If you're pushing that envelope a little bit further and going out on those adventure rides, well, a flat tyre can definitely really put a downer on a big ride. So you want protection alongside comfort and lots of range. So I weigh around 90 kilos and I'd be looking at pressures above 30 psi. Then if you're riding bike park, well, you want a high tyre pressure here, one that's fast rolling, it's poppy and predictable. So high tyre pressure, something around 30 to 40 psi is going to be your best bet for this one. So if you're riding downhill, you've got soft compound, high volume tyres, have an aggressive tread pattern, and some of those tyres weigh in over 1 kilo. So I'm around 90 kilos, so I'll run about 28 to 30 psi. A 70 kilo rider would be a lot lighter, so they could get away with, say, 22 to 24 psi. Just remember, these are all ballpark figures though, just something you must adjust for yourself to suit your style of riding. Learning to be in touch with your tyres is a big part of learning to ride your bike. Listening and feeling what your tyre is doing is key to adjusting your tyre pressure. It's a bit of trial and error to get there, but once you have got there, you will notice a massive difference. So I hope from today's video that I've helped you guys find your perfect tyre pressure. Just remember, there is no right or wrong tyre pressure for you and your style of riding. You ride different places, different style, you probably weigh different and ride a different bike from those other guys out there. So just try and find that right tyre pressure that suits you. But let us know down in the comments box below about what tyre pressures you run. Give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to EMBN and make sure you find and give us a follow on social media too. Cheers!